everybody. We are live again. I love that we're doing lives more often. It makes me happy. I will be adding Caitlin, and they are going to help me with this live today. Oop, I got it there. They are going to join me. We're going to talk about. Oh, you already joined. You're fast.
I'm so fast. I know. I was like, I already got my. See, okay, we got my computer back there.
I saw that you shared that video. Oh, now I got to do the same thing. Hang in there, everybody. Let's.
Yeah, you gotta see. Like, you have to see the art. You have to see. All the chaos is in front of my phone. So.
Yeah, oh my gosh, if you saw my desk right now, especially my kids like to just bring me things. So I have like crayons and markers and like toys and.
Nice. I'm doing a project in November where I am using up all of these basics acrylics that I got for Christmas in like 2015. And I've just been holding on to them because I'm like, well, then I'll be out, as if craft stores don't exist. Yeah. So I got 2 15-page notebooks, and I'm like, every day in November, like that's my NaNoWriMo. Like, I'm just doing a painting a day to use
I love it.
These paints and like tell myself that it's safe to use paint.
You know what's funny that you say that? Because a lot of times I'm like that about stickers. If I have a sticker, I'm like, I can't use this because I like the sticker. And then my friend Jillian, she gave me a bunch of these really cool stickers. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put them on my desk. And I'm just going to use these stickers. So I have them all in my drawer. And right here, you can't see
it. I have stickers too that I haven't, but
I feel like I can never use them.
Yeah.
Okay, so for everyone joining, hi, welcome. Thanks so much for coming. My name is Patricia. I'm the founder of Crafter, and Caitlin was so awesome to join me today to talk about self-sabotage and what was the other one? Creating realistic expectations for yourself, like goals you can actually achieve and not getting completely overwhelmed and like, oh my gosh. So thank you so much for joining me today. I don't know if you want to tell us a little more about yourself or
Yeah. So there's so much to say. I'll just start with the very basics. I'm a writing and creativity coach, and I help neurodivergent and chronically ill creatives make time and find balance with their passions.
Which I love, because I know Crafter has a few people that would fit in those categories, so I think that's wonderful. So I'm planning on asking you more about that in a little bit. Yes. So you're a creative coach, and now you've written books. You're an author as well, right?
Yes, I'm an author as well. I have a nonfiction book that's traditionally published. That's The Gaslighting of the Millennial Generation. Okay. And now I am working on a sci-fi trilogy. So I'm hoping to get that published, but I might go self-pub because I want to. So we're gonna decide.
I don't know anything about publishing, so I don't really know how that all works. I have another one of my friends, Anthony. He does like horror publishing books, and I think he's talked to me about it a little bit of like how you either go through somebody or you don't, but I really don't know a whole lot of the details with that. But very cool. And then you also have a podcast that I saw. Yes. And that was called, let me Run Like Hell Towards Happy. Is that right?
That's the current name. It's about to get a rebrand. So.
Oh, okay.
Because like when I explain it, people really get it. So the idea behind Run Like Hell Toward Happy is that like you identify what on the horizon is like going to light you up inside. And then you just like, that's where you're going. And the people who can keep up with you and the people who stick around along the way and aren't trying to like get you off that track. Like those are your people. Yeah. But people don't really like get it. So I'm rebranding the title a little bit.
I'm surprised because I really like the title.
I know, it's really cool. Well, I came up with it because I was gonna name a book that a self-help book. Sort of along the same lines. And I think it does really work as a book title, but without sort of like a fan base on the concept, the podcast just was not getting the traction that I was hoping for, because it's got like 60 plus episodes of like amazing content,
right?
But people aren't like really finding it, so
they're not finding it interesting. So may I ask what the new name is, or is that like still?
No, you can. It's The Neurodivergent Creative.
Love it.
That wasn't taken.
I'm surprised that wasn't taken. But
so I'm I'm already like planning the new season and everything. Like I'm gonna take a couple weeks off between seasons because I believe in breaks. But so that leads right into realistic goals, right?
Yes, that kind of tracks with realistic goals, because there's so many people out there that are And then everyone to each their own, just know that before I say any of this, but there are a lot of people out there that are saying, if you aren't 24/7 hustling, then, you're doing it wrong. And
Yeah.
if you don't take that opportunity, 10 more people ahead of you will. And it's like, I can appreciate that. Like, you know what I mean? You want to be actively push, 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 try to get your, build your brand, build your business, whatever it is. But at the same time, if you're burying yourself at the same time and just digging your own ditch and just burned out,
Mhm.
I've definitely burned myself out several times in the course of starting my business. So it's like, you have to recognize that and say, okay, is it worth pushing myself even more and crashing, or just taking a day so that I don't crash and then I can come back with even better ideas and become
Absolutely.
refreshed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I say all the time. It's like, I even have stickers. I can send you one. It says, "We don't hustle in this family."
Yeah.
And like, I say it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's really, taking action is great. You have to take action in order to achieve goals,
Oh, yeah.
but it doesn't mean that you have to take every action that is presented to you.
At the same time.
Yeah. Like, I do the same thing. I am always like, I want to make everything, I'm like, oh, I should make a new ebook about this. I should make a new free email course about this. I could make a little video course about this. Like, oh, I got to make all the things. I want 20 different funnels. And it's like, no.
Yes.
What if you just showed up in your expertise and helped people from that
Yes.
energy, and
Mm-hmm.
like stopped trying to make something for every single person? And when I
Yes.
decided to just sort of move forward with what I had already created, I got
Mm-hmm.
so much like more relaxed. I was like, oh, great.
Yes.
I already have
Mm-hmm.
enough. I'm just going to operate from the enough that I have.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So everyone coming in, Caitlin is a writer, a creative coach, creativity coach, and she's just sharing with us. We're going to dive into self-sabotage and realistic goals, which is what we were just talking about. And so I love that, some of the best advice that I've gotten, and I think Nora's in here. I want to say hi to Nora. She's a coach for as well. She coaches coaches, and
Hi, Laura.
so yeah, and so she was like, I vent to her every once in a while, like, there's like so much I want to tackle, and again, it's all at once, and she'll be like, listen, you're in your, I just hit my first year of business, and so she was like, you want to be at like here and you need to get there.
Yeah, you got to do stuff.
and, yeah, and she's like, patience, patience. And so I think it's really easy to get overwhelmed and think, oh, I have to, like you said, like do all the things for all the people. And it's super important to say, okay, what do I first of all want to do?
Yes.
I mean, let's be honest, it's your business, it's your product, it's your whatever. What do you want to do? Does this align with what I want, my goals, my, ethics, whatever it is?
Mm-hmm.
And then can you put more energy and focus into making one or two things great versus being spread everywhere and
Yeah.
have everything kind of be good?
Yes,
Which,
I've gone into this on a couple podcast episodes. It's like roots, like in the soil.
yeah.
So I love making plant analogies. I'm a plant person,
Oh,
and
hey, I'm here for it.
like a kind of like a climate person. I've done some work with an environmental nonprofit, and one of the things that I have learned is that like native plants grow really deep roots, and they help prevent like flooding,
And
and they
erosion, stuff
even
like that.
sequester more carbon.
Mm.
But the grass that we plant as our lawns, very shallow
Mm.
roots, it's non-native, so it's actually like,
Mm.
it's just decorative. It's not doing anything
Yeah.
for the environment. And so thinking about marketing and sales and even your own art and creativity and writing, like
Mm-hmm.
going deep rather than going shallow is a great way to focus your energy on what's actually like fulfilling.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely, I agree with that. So for anybody that might be feeling kind of overwhelmed or all over and unfocused, do you have advice for them or like some tips maybe you would give us or something along those lines?
So I have ADHD. So
Mhm.
I am very familiar with I must do all of the things.
Yeah.
And I teach a method that is not unique to me. I've learned it before, but I call it the parking lot. So like
Okay.
I love to set like 90-day goals. And then
Okay.
anything
Love
that's
it.
not pertaining to that 90-day goal, you go park it. You write it down so that it's
Yeah.
there, so that you don't have to
Yes.
spend your energy like thinking, oh, right, well, after I write this book, I want to write that other book, and then I want to write this series. Like, just go write them down so that your brain stops
Yeah.
holding them.
I'm with you.
Yeah, because your brain keeps it. Your
Yes.
brain's like, gotta remember. Even if it's like grocery store, it's like hot dog buns, hot dog buns, hot dog buns. Like, you need to make a grocery list of your parking lot of ideas. And that
Yeah.
was a big game changer when I started teaching that to clients. They were like, oh my God. So
Yeah.
as a writing coach, if we're working on drafting a book and you're like, well, how do I get an agent? That's for the parking lot. That is not pertinent
That's
to
not
this
right now.
90 days.
Exactly.
So if you're overwhelmed, doing that sort of 90-day approach, and like with like a 30, 60, 90-day check-in to make sure that you're enjoying it, because don't force yourself to do things that you hate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then anything that falls outside that scope, just put it on a list for later. And sometimes one of my clients came up with this like short-term parking versus like long-term parking. So like,
Perfect.
yeah, one of these is for sometime in the next 5 years, and one of these is just the thing I'm going to do after this one.
Right. Right. Absolutely. No, I absolutely love that because I'm a big fan of lists. If I feel like my brain is just full, that's what I say. I say my brain's full. There's no more. I think another term. I think you use the same term my friends do, where it's like I don't have enough spoons.
Yeah.
Like this is not enough spoons. Sorry, I don't have the energy. I don't have the brain capacity right now if it's full. So I'll write a list and dump it all on paper, and that does take, at least for the moment, like all the pressure off of your brain to remember everything.
Yeah.
Because your brain's going through this marathon trying to remember, okay, all the things, right?
Yes.
So I love that. I love that. And Nora said in the comments, she goes, it's actually proven that 90-day goals are the most successful. So she loves this. She thinks it's great.
Love it.
Yes.
Yeah. So like we focus on 90-day goals. I have actually a 12-month writing incubator, but it contains 2 sort of like 90-day sessions where we're like really focusing on our writing goal. And then the time in between that is like integrating, resting, maintaining your habits, and like dealing with sort of the thoughts that are coming up. So that you can like level set and go into the next one. Because what I don't like to see, and what doesn't work for me or my clients, is like, cool, did that, next goal, next goal, next goal. Like, you need a little bit of breathing room. I see you hiding. I see you hiding from me. Yeah, that's the thing that makes me keep making stuff instead of refining what I already have and having enough in what I have already created. Because otherwise I'm going to leave this like legacy body of work that like 10 people have engaged with this thing and 20 people engaged with this thing, rather than really sticking with one thing and continuing to refine and let it evolve and become like my signature program I offer, or my signature product, or a book series, or an art collection. Like, let it evolve. We get, I think, scared of the depth because we're like, what if I run out of inspiration?
Right. And that's another thing too, is getting burned out. Nora's giving me the business in the comments. She goes, do you hear this, Patricia? Don't judge me, Nora.
It's a judgment-free zone.
It's so funny because I think for me especially, some more advice that was really beneficial for me when starting my business was, you can't just enjoy the end of like the goal. You have to enjoy the process. If you're going to start your business, you have to enjoy the whole thing, because otherwise you're going to go, 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 go. And, as soon as you get to that end point and you have the goal, it's that rush of, yay, I made it.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next?
Right.
And then you right back down. And then you have to learn, and you have to build. And you hit the goal, and you're like, yes. And then you crash again.
Yes.
Hey, Alexandra, she's here too. She's my marketer. So she's like, hi.
Yeah. Marketing itself, I'm trying to let marketing be more fun. Because I don't want to market things in a way that I don't like. I find myself pressured, like, oh, let's make a lot of reels. And then I'm like, I don't know if I actually want to make reels. So now I have to deal with that. Because if it doesn't feel like me, then like I'm going to be attracting the wrong people, first of all.
Yeah, you want it to come across as genuine because, and that's something that's hard too, is when you're marketing, trying to like find your voice and find your, like, because when I first started working with marketers, they're like, oh, well, how do you want to sound and how do you want to come across? And I'm like me,
Yeah.
which I know isn't helpful. I'm sorry, marketers. I
Now,
know. I
that's why
can
you
feel
need like a
everyone
whole
go, "Ugh."
brand voice guide. So it's funny. I actually
Yeah.
came from like I had a full-time job as a marketing content manager. Like I know marketing, but then
Mhm.
doing my own marketing, I was like, I don't have brand guidelines. I don't know what am I
Oh,
doing?
that's
And it's so
funny.
different coming into an established company that's already
Yeah.
making millions and just,
Yeah.
writing their tweets as
Yeah.
opposed to starting from scratch and being like, everything that I say has to bring in my
Mhm.
brand of weirdo creative and push away the normies. Like,
Right.
because we got a fucked up brain over here. Like, and I need people who are going to enjoy that part because if
To
somebody comes in,
appreciate it or relate in some way,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
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 So I just have to
I appreciate
practice
that.
being loud and weird and letting them flock to me.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing is I know when I had started, I was like, first everything I kind of made was really, really stiff because it's a business, then you have to be very
I
serious. And
did
I'm
that
like,
too.
that is not who I am as a person. Like I love to joke, I love to be silly. It's just not. So then I started to lean more towards, okay, I'm going to be a goof every once in a while because I mean that's who I am. And if I'd much rather be myself through the process than fight against that
Yep.
and it'd be stale
Yes.
and like boring.
Yes. I used
Um,
to like I didn't put anything personal on like my professional Instagram. I was like, no, this is just here for tip Tuesday and work in progress Wednesday. And like, I tried to like plan it out and like really curate this like very professional feed. And then I was like, no. Like
yeah.
get a selfie when I go out to sushi. I'm like, hey guys, what's up? This is my dog. Here's my
Right.
dog.
Yeah. Well, I realized very quickly that you want people to realize that you're a person.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm a real person that exists and I'm friendly and approachable.
Yeah.
And that I feel like having more of like a warmth is better than being like, hello, I'm a businesswoman and this is serious. And,
Yeah. And
you
some
have to have
people
obviously,
want that. Like some
yeah.
people want the woman in the blazer, right? I have decided I don't wear blazers anymore. And so
I love
that's my
that.
vibe. Like if you want a writing coach with a blazer, I'm not it. But if you
Yeah.
want like a queer disabled writing coach who's going to be like, yeah, no, I get that you're tired today. Like how
Yeah,
can we
exactly.
still write?
You had something that was, now that you mentioned that, it was how to it was something along the lines of like reframing your beliefs based on your body or something like that listed somewhere. And I thought that was very interesting. So if someone is a creative and they're fighting with, some kind of disability or some kind of anything,
Mm-hmm.
do you have advice for them as well to say, hey, if you're just not feeling it today, your body's not just not happening, is there any advice that you would have for them?
So I always lead with compassion. Like compassion is one of my biggest like business values and personal
Mm-hmm.
values,
Yeah.
especially self compassion.
Mm.
So, there's like this tweet that's going around right now that says on the days that you can only give 40% and you give 40%, you gave 100%.
Oh, I love
So
that.
yeah, like
Yeah.
reframing to, don't hold yourself to a neurotypical able-bodied standard.
Right.
So like when setting goals and expectations, I like to talk about consistency as something that doesn't have to happen daily. So like
Mm.
for instance, I work on my novel on Wednesday mornings. I wrote
Mm.
2,700 words before I got on this call.
Oh, great.
Yeah, but some weeks I only write 500 words
Right.
in the same span of time. And I just let that be
Right.
okay. Because
Well, yeah,
sometimes,
especially with writing. That's like
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, sometimes I'm in a little more pain. Sometimes my brain's just not really on like the
Mhm.
ADHD. I drank my coffee too early and it negated the effects of my medication or something. Um, so working with that and being compassionate when, if you show up to work on your goal and you don't always perform at the same level,
Mhm.
that's literally okay.
Right.
Producing
Yeah.
the same output every single time is what capitalism wants.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we're not robots. We're people.
That. that's the thing is I think people, especially like I'm going to change it up a little bit just so I can, because I can't relate completely. So I want to be able to at least kind of, it's not going
Yeah,
to be the same.
I should go
It's not
art
going to be the
in
same.
my example.
But like for me, I work, I have my business, I have my family. So like there are days where my family wins a little bit more, and there's days that my job works, and that's
Yeah.
pretty more common with working moms. And so there's days you beat yourself up like, oh, I haven't done all the things. I need to be, like a robot and check all the boxes every single day, and everything has to be immaculate. And it's like, that's not life. It's
Correct.
just not.
Yeah.
Another question that I have for you, because this is something very important to me, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to be supportive, in the right, I don't want to say the right way, but sometimes when people are supportive, it comes across as marketing or fake, or
Hmm.
if someone's trying to genuinely be supportive of the disabled community or the queer community, or anything like that. For example, I very much try to support the deaf community because
Hmm.
my daughter's hard of hearing. So I try to be very much, they've given so much to my family that I try to give back to them.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know if you had any advice for people like, hey, we need some love. You know what I mean? Like, support us in
Yeah.
a genuine way. How could they do that?
Man, okay. So honestly, like genuine is going to mean something different to every type of person.
Okay.
But I would say like engage with the work coming from that
Hmm.
community. So like if you want to
Right.
support the queer community, buy queer books, seek
Yeah.
out art from queer artists.
Yeah.
Make sure that your purchases reflect
Hmm.
prioritizing the queer community. Maybe don't buy Harry Potter merchandise or go to Chick-fil-A. Like
Right.
those are detracting from your genuineness when you're like, oh, you're so
Yeah.
brave, I'm going to buy your memoir about growing up gay in Texas, and then you're like,
Hmm.
oh, this chicken's so good though. Like that's, I'm going to say
Yeah,
that
I can
that is not
appreciate
the
that.
best.
Yeah. No, I can
um
appreciate that.
yeah, and totally like similar with a disability. Like
Hmm.
it's all a learning and unlearning process.
Hmm.
So, spending time following accounts from disabled creators
Yeah.
and paying attention when they share something that makes you a little uncomfortable.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
in that
Absolutely.
discomfort is where we have an
Hmm.
opportunity to learn better and do better.
Yes.
And
Yeah. If you have a list, I'll ask you after this. I have a list of creators, content creators that if I see something and I'm like, that's an education moment for a lot of people that may, this is the thing, from my perspective, it, for example, I had no connection to the deaf community at all until my daughter was born.
Mhm.
Didn't know the struggles, didn't know, that was not my reality, right? That was not, just wasn't. And then I learned so much and it was so overwhelming. And I thought, gosh, this is all messed up. Like there's so many hardships, there's so many things. And I'm like, I didn't know. So then I followed all these content creators that are, signing and all this. And if I see something that I could go, okay, this is helpful for not just me, but for everyone,
Mhm.
I'll share it on my page, things
Yeah.
like that. Because if you don't know, you don't know.
Yes.
So it's like I love that idea. So if you have any content creators, I would love to follow them because
Okay.
I think it's
Yeah,
important to share.
I don't keep a list. I honestly should at this point, but I can like look through who I'm following and be
Okay.
like, yes, that's good. I definitely
Yeah.
recommend The Body Is Not an Apology, which
Okay.
is it's a book by Sonia Renee Taylor,
Hmm.
and the account on Instagram is just called The Body Is Not an Apology, and also the NAP Ministry.
Okay.
Um, those are both sort of, I mean, I'm big into body positivity, body
Hmm.
neutrality, anti-diet culture type things because
Hmm.
fat phobia is not good.
Right.
And I have a lot
Cool.
of podcast episodes about fat phobia and anti-fat bias as well. Um,
Hmm.
and that's still like a very socially acceptable prejudice to have, is
Hmm.
to like be just downright cruel to
Yeah.
fat people.
Yeah.
So like a lot of my activist accounts and like places where I go to
Hmm.
learn are focused on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Also like a lot of anti-hustle. Like the NAP ministry is very much about resting as resistance. Like,
Hmm.
the machine wants you to go to work every day. So like every time you take a nap, you're actually, resisting that. And I'm like, that's
Right. And that's
crazy.
the thing too. I think at some point you had mentioned not feeling guilty if you do take time for yourself.
Yeah.
And my daughter might break in on our live here. And so just not feeling guilty if you do take time for yourself. And that's a big one for me, is like, if I go, I need a moment, to be like, okay, you're allowed to have a moment. All right, you're on live, okay? So my daughter sneaked up. She's 3. Bear with me. And so can you go watch TV while I do this? No? Okay, great. And so that's really super important because, you know, at the end of the day, resting and taking care of yourself needs to be a priority.
Yes.
And I don't feel like a lot of times if you're working, people feel like that's a priority. It's like, no, you need to make sure everything is, you know, work, 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 work. And I very much was a workaholic. Okay, take that and go, please. I love you. So that is very much a struggle. So would you have any suggestions then for, we talked about realistic goal setting, and then what about self-sabotage? Because a lot of times you get in your own head, and what you think is a reality, if you just take a second and breathe, you realize it's not that way at all.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you give yourself a minute, you know.
I have so many thoughts about self-sabotage. So one is that self-sabotage is often coming from part of us that's trying to self-protect.
Yes.
Because of the risk of vulnerability, of being seen, of criticism. Those things can hurt. And so the self-sabotage that's like, maybe just don't ever show your art to anyone, is trying to protect you. And so part of undoing that is saying like, hey, thank you. You can name it. You can be like, thank you, Brenda. I got this. I typically just give it like a white lady name. Like my eating disorder is Carl. I'll just be like, thanks, Carl, but I'm going to eat this sandwich.
Carl.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turns out you need food to live, Carl. Yeah. So, you know, give her a name. Whoever it is. And just say, you know, like, I got this. Like, I'm practicing. I'm going to be okay. You know, it's like, you know, you have kids, obviously. When they're learning to walk, part of that process is letting them fall.
Yes.
Like if you jump in every time and you're like, no, like I'm going to pick you up by your armpits and no, their balance is going to be off. Like self-sabotage is sort of the same way. So that self-sabotage is trying to go in and prevent you from falling every time. But the failure, so-called, and then the getting back up again and evaluating like, okay, what part of that was okay? What part of that sucked? How can we move forward? That evaluation is so important in gaining your confidence.
Oh, yeah. Because you learn what works, what doesn't work. How could I have changed this? What could I do differently? And it would be great if people did view failure as not necessarily a negative, but as a learning experience. Yeah. And like rewired it in that way.
It's just part of it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then the other side of self-sabotage is that we think that it's just us. Like, oh, my first sketches are bad. I see other people's sketches that are great. And when we isolate due to self-sabotage, because we think we are the unique bad writer in the world, or the unique
the only one
artist, the only one. And in that sense, I think that the antidote to self-sabotage is community, is being surrounded by other artists, other writers, because then you see that that's so normal.
Yes.
And it really normalizes the fact that people go through the same or similar struggles. People, like everybody starts off not great at things. Like very few of us are talented from like day one.
Yeah, the whole phrase of, oh, you're so lucky, you're so talented, blah, blah, blah.
Right, like this has taken thousands of hours of practice.
They're like, wait, there's an audio that I used at one point on Instagram where it's like, how did you get so good at this? And they're like, practice. And it's like, no, but you're so good. I have no idea how you do this. They're like, practice. Practice. It's just practice. Why are you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go find that one. That sounds like a reel that I would be okay making.
I'll try to find it. Because it's true, you know. And a lot of times, even I can apply it to relationships. So I've been with my husband for 18 years.
Wow.
And so, yeah, and a lot of people be like, "Oh, you're so lucky you found the love of your life young." And I'm like, "You act like we just got together and have never like had moments
Yeah.
that it was just perfect." And it's like, "No, we worked really, really hard. Like we've gone through a lot." And so, people are silly about whether it's talent or whatever it is that's going positive in your life. They're like, "Oh, well, you're just lucky."
Yeah, it takes a lot of self-reflection to realize that like there's self-work and there's compromise and
Mm-hmm.
there is a
Yeah.
whole learning process that goes into, whether it's creativity or relationships or like getting your degree. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, you're so easy, you were an English major, that one's easy. Like, you're so lucky.
I hate that. And
Like,
yeah, in school, yeah, any you really apply it to any field. So what would you recommend then? Because my favorite thing to say is if someone or my favorite thing that I've heard recently is talk to yourself in your head like you would talk to your friend,
yes.
because you really shouldn't be, thank you shouldn't be talking to yourself in a negative way, because that's not how if a friend showed you, like, say for example, a painting, we'll go back to artwork. Someone showed you a painting, you would not inspect it with a magnifying glass and tell them all the things that
Right.
are, oh, you messed this up, you messed that up, it's terrible, no one's going to want this, it's the worst. You would look at it and go, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, like, anytime an artist has had a moment of doubt or come to me and be like, oh, I don't know if this is good enough to sell, do you think people would buy my work? 100%. 100% people will buy your work
Yeah.
because it's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's why I love making the crafter community, because it's like, yes, you're awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I love
but
the work
like,
that you're doing, like building this community, because
yeah,
it's so like it's again like that antidote to self-sabotage. Like, you're there, other
yeah,
artists are there. I don't know how much they interact with each other. I'm not entirely
yeah.
sure how your thing works, but like having a community of artists where you can see other people's work and be like, oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like they do that thing like me, or like, oh, they've
Yeah,
only been selling their art for 6 months, same as me.
yeah,
And it normalizes the journey
yes.
of developing those skills and talents.
It also educates a lot of customers, because customers will see a work in progress, and people will do a sketch and they'll be like, oh, the sketch, the artist will be so worried the sketch looks bad, and then you just see their work in progress and it turns into this immaculate, whatever they're making, and it's like, see, you just patience and look how beautiful, and it's great. So it also is a good way to show customers what the potential is, the possibilities are,
Yeah.
and yeah, so it's really cool. It's really rewarding. So it's
Yeah.
fun.
That sounds
Yeah.
awesome.
So before we finish up, was there any other topic that you wanted to share about you, or any other things that you wanted to go over that I forgot?
No, I think we did a great job. We talked about self-sabotage. We talked about goals. Yeah, I would just say, like, if anybody enjoys my vibe, like, come follow me and hang out. I would love to get to know more artists. Especially if you are enjoying the chaos that is me.
So I have a question, actually, now that you said
Yeah.
that. So what kind of artwork do you like to do? I know you
Great.
write,
I
but what
do.
kind of artwork do
I
you
write. I like collages. You
do?
can see there's sort of like a vision board
I was just gonna
collage
say.
here, but like my pride and joy
Oh,
collage
yummy.
is over here.
Oh, I love it.
It
I
says
see the wording, but I can't read it.
you are a tenacious and magnificent being.
I love that.
Yeah, because one of my coaches said that to me, and I was like, oh, that's got to go into some art, like,
I
so
love that.
fast. I like acrylics. I'm practicing with watercolors. I don't feel super
Yeah.
confident with them yet.
Yeah.
I have, hang on, I'm gonna pop my phone out and show you sort of like my pride and joy here.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you. So that
Oh, that's really cool.
I mixed acrylics with modeling paste to make it like textured.
Cool.
I wanted it to look like a geode, but then
Yeah.
added like the broken glass effect, and that's gold leaf.
Oh, that I was gonna say, to me it looked like broken glass, so I'm glad you said that. I was like,
Yeah.
that's what I would have said. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, I just like to play. I'm making colors. I did this guy recently. I'm not sure if I love it yet.
Oh, that's fun too. I like the color.
Yeah, I used a palette knife. It's just acrylics, but I added
Yeah.
a glitter kind of base to it to add some shine to some of these. And I've been like, this poor canvas has been painted over like 3 times now. I just keep,
That's another thing that I learned is that people will paint over their canvases, and I'm like, no, and they're like, oh yeah, that's totally like a normal thing all artists do, and I'm like, why? And they're like, well, I'm done with this painting, I'm just gonna paint over it. I'm like, so that's very interesting. You're like, I've painted over it again and again.
yeah. Well, once I did it to practice making like an aurora borealis effect. So it
Ooh,
was like
very
a
cool.
practice canvas, and then I was
Yeah.
trying to do like an ocean, kind of an abstract
Mhm.
oceany scene. And
Yeah.
then that was looking a little not what I wanted. And so I just started messing
Mhm.
around with the palette knife, and now it's this. So it's supposed to be a gift for a friend. I don't know if it's ready.
It's evolved over time.
Yeah, it just keeps changing.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love it. All right, well, thank you for everyone that has watched this whole live. I will be tagging all of Caitlin's information on the description. So if you want to follow them on Instagram and your website as well, I can add that.
Awesome.
And thank you so much for giving advice on all the topics we talked about, because I think all of it really, really matters to have a really good sense of self and be able to
Yeah.
support people around you and attract people that are awesome.
Yes.
That's the goal.
That's the
So
goal. I want
I,
awesome people.
yeah.
Thank you
So
so
I
much
really
for having me.
absolutely. Thanks for joining, and thank you everyone for watching. I appreciate everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.